Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, no matter where you are around the world. My name is Karen Griffith. I'm an inner freedom and embodiment coach. I also go by happiness coach, wellness coach and mental fitness coach because those are the areas that I like to deep dive in with the ladies that choose to work with me, and also to deepen the experiences of my clients. Because of my NLP skills, I also offer NLP timeline therapy, a means of handling difficult emotions that come up when we're attempting to pivot or shift into a new life, a new something that we're trying to bring to life. So hopefully that all made sense. Anyway, I promised I'd go live yesterday. I was tired. I did go live, but I started rambling and I saw it as a sign to quit. And that's okay. I'm here now. But it's always important to pay attention. I wasn't in flow. I wasn't experiencing any kind of ease in the things I was saying. I knew I wasn't really hitting the key points that I wanted to. So I acknowledged and honoured that and called it a day. So here I am now. And if you're watching me, I hope you get value. And if you do, please like, comment and share. It's great for their algorithms. I should actually say that I do lock down my profile on Instagram. I'm not like the other coaches or content creators. I am careful about who I have following me, and that's going to be an ongoing thing because I know consciously. And also my intention is to reach the right people, and I'm okay with some people falling off. And also I recognise there's some people that it's just not appropriate. So I let them go with love and compassion, of course. Anyway, let's get to it. Today's topic is on how to detox your life. What do you mean by that, Karen? Well, the thing is, we're taught in our experience, it's mainly about learning things, learning new skills, getting achievements, creating success for ourselves. All great if that's the track that you're on and that's what you want out of life. However, to have really strong foundations, particularly if you're going for something new, or you're trying to create like a business, you're learning, you're making a decision like you move to a different country, whatever it looks like for you, what holds true is without firm foundations, what tends to happen is you will probably experience a period of success, and then challenge will start to come into your experience, and that's unavoidable, I'm afraid. And it's at that point you may experience aspects of how you show up in challenge that actually dramatically affect your outcomes. So to bring it back to the conversation that I would like to flag as an area for you to look if you are of the mindset that you're here to grow, you're here to be better than you were yesterday. It's not about competing with others, against or with others. You're into collaboration, you're into the betterment of self, betterment of others, and also of the world around you. Then detoxing your life is going to give you one of the best foundations moving forward as you grow. And it can't be any way, because life is always the teacher. And when you are in school, which is every moment of the day, you can really get to grips with those experiences, even the difficult ones, and convert them into something powerful. But you can't do that if you are not learning, not experiencing life and taking ownership of, or even responsibility and accountability for everything that happens within it. So that's kind of a tough talk there. It might get tougher as time goes on. We'll see. But again, to circle back to what I mean by detoxing your life. Now, just imagine that we are taught to learn things, but we're not necessarily taught how to unlearn things. And detoxing is going to be an important part of letting go, cleansing, getting rid of what's unhealthy, toxic, coping mechanisms and things like that, that has come about as a way of surviving experiences or challenge that hasn't actually given us the pleasure. It's given us the opposite, the pain, which we always seek to avoid, which is normal. So because we're not taught to unlearn stuff, it also means that there are narratives, stories and beliefs that are rattling around, often up in here. Well, it's got to be in here, and some of it's through emotions trapped in the body relating to specific experiences that needs to be released. Otherwise, you tend to circle back into patterns and cycles of behaviour, actions and decisions or choices that again do not serve you. So it's being clear. I hope you're getting the message here that by detoxing, which is not necessarily to get rid of, it's kind of like to see what's there for you so that you can start to work on those things, so that you acknowledge that there are ways of being that no longer serves you. They're past, it's done, you can't do anything about it. But by taking ownership, responsibility and accountability, you can then start making choices that will create the better outcomes and no longer live under the shadow of your past that is limiting you. It's just that invisible veil that you can't see. So detoxing is a great way of spending some time away from what I like to think I'm going to reframe. Not what I like to think, it's what I know. It's contributing to stressors. These are things that are causing you stress. I know over a long period of time, if not dealt with, will manifest in the body. Anxieties, which end up with certain issues, could be even lead to depression, which indicates past stuff. And then you've got distractions. And I mentioned, and particularly for my ladies that follow me, I do recommend reading Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. That's such a poignant book for me. I've mentioned this a number of times because in that book, the stuff I'm talking about, and certainly the stuff that I've been talking about these past couple of weeks, will make a whole load more sense to you, because you begin to realise the distraction piece tends to be out of boredom. So when I move on to how you detox, it will make more sense for you if you hear with the ear of being open-minded and willing to say, okay, if distractions is true for me, what does that look like? And what's the one step that I can take to minimise or stop that distraction? Okay, so let's move on. So again, I've said, and I've started off with this live, is we're taught to learn new stuff, skills, achieve success, all great. However, what we're not taught is the stuff we need to unlearn, which is why I'm talking about detoxing your life. Now, when I looked up the definition of detoxing, it was very interesting. It was to do with the body, and that's what people are mostly familiar with. And I'm not surprised if people think, well, detoxing, alcohol, sugar, whatever is meaningful for you. I get it. But detoxing is a wider subject than that. However, its definition, which I'll read out to you, is a period of time in which one abstains from or sorry, I can't even read my own writing. Okay, it's a period of time in which one abstains from the toxins from the body, toxic or have no, start again. A period of time in which one abstains from or not have the body of toxins or unhealthy substances, and basically it's detoxification, and that's the noun. The verb is to abstain from or the body of toxins, unhealthy substances. So yeah, that's great, I get it's the body, but what about the other aspects of our lives? The emotional, physical, spiritual, mental. And I would also add in, because of the life we're living now, modern life is full of distraction because of social media and digital age. We live in the information age. We're being bombarded from all sides, and the phone is the key to so much information that having a detox is actually wider than substances, things that we put into our body. It's also what we're putting into our mind and what we're not necessarily releasing from the body that is unhealthy, no longer serves us, yet we're still operating. It still contributes to a state of being that is not helping us to move forward. So again, I've said that sort of not perfectly, that's okay, I'm an imperfect human, but I'm hoping you're getting from what I shared in the definitions that I got, that actually, based on what I said earlier, detoxing your life isn't just about the substances you put in, it's also the thoughts, the narratives, the stories, what is actually contributing to the limitations that are stopping you or hindering you or even sabotaging you from moving forward. So I've covered that, so I'm going to move on. So I mentioned social media and digital age, information, it's noisy out there. So for me, if I was to redefine detoxing, it's taking time away from something, whatever that means for you, taking time away. And it doesn't need to be a long time. It just needs to be long enough so that you actually start to get to grips and understand the impact it is having on you from a wellness point of view. And I've mentioned wellness, the whole self, and that also includes financial. And I'll give you an example. I can remember a few years ago I posted about unsubscribing from news alerts, because one of the things I noticed as I went through my process of detoxification of things that were no longer serving me, that one of my triggers, I've spoken about triggers before, but I'm not going to delve into this. I'm going to get out, how to detox. But if you stay with me here, one of the things that I noticed with how I was using my phone and how attached I was to scrolling and stuff, That aside, I'll probably, circle back to that point. But with the emails, what I noticed was I was having these impulses to buy things that I didn't necessarily need, which had obviously an impact on finances, my financial position. And when I actually got to understand that and the causation, because it's cause and effect, I recognised I was starting to save money again because I was no longer reactive in the ways that I was before. And I did manage this by removing myself off of so many mailing lists that were not relevant. And that also went on to, content I was following that it was just habit, it was just there, but actual fact, it was clogging my inbox. So with that in mind, I lovingly invite you to think about what is there for you in what I shared. What is it that you're getting from the fact that I'm mentioning that there's so much distractions, there's so much noise out there. We're living in the information age, there's so much out there, and it can be overwhelming, and it's also could be a contributor to stressors that don't need to be there, that will get you reactive, not necessarily. Because if you're here and you're following me, you're interested in thriving, but you can't do that on shaky foundations, which is why I'm inviting anybody that watches me in this content to take up the invitation that these are invisible sources that are contributing to habits, patterns and cycles that are not serving you and actually are having a detrimental impact on your outcomes. And only you will know that. If you have a conversation with me, which you're more than welcome to, I'll do drop my link tree. It's in my bio if you're watching this on not LinkedIn. If you're watching me on Instagram, or if you listen to this on Instagram, I'll have it on when I circulate this post on Facebook. You can book a consultation. You're more than welcome to do that. And this is, I'm talking to ladies here because that's who I'm here to support, serve as a coach, a professional certified coach. I would really consider if, for example, I know this was true for me, things like the comparison piece, where I found it was unhelpful for me to follow certain accounts and follow certain creators because they had a lifestyle and it looked great, but it was only part of the picture. Because the reality is you're only seeing a snapshot of what is carefully created content. I guess I'm no exception. That said, I like to think that I'm congruent with how I show up in person, people that know me well, as I am on here. And what was very clear for me when I turned into a coach, developed my skills and my understanding of what coaching is and what I was here to do and how to impact the ladies, women that want to go for creating a life of design instead of the one by default. I recognised that there were people I was following that actually hadn't walked my path at all. So I wanted to emulate them, but I wasn't them, I'm me. So it became very confusing. I was being told all this conflicting information and it never sat well with me. And it took a decision for me to say, okay, I need to let go of who people are telling me I should I should maybe imitate, and actually just be more who I am, my true self, and what that looked like for me, which meant letting go of the expectation that I needed to do somebody else. I just needed to do me. So once I understood that, then a lot of what I recognised were my true values and what was important to me, because I cleared a lot of the junk that was affecting my mindset, affecting my energy, and also distracting me from my purposes, that I recognised it was okay to let certain things go. It was okay to surrender to what is. That it was also okay that things no longer had a purpose and they can be let go of. So I would just, hopefully you're seeing something there for you that says, okay, Karen's saying detoxing my life. Where should I start? I would say social media is a great place to start. That's where it kind of started for me and snowballed. And then it was the other aspects, as I mentioned, digital, because I did promise how to detox your life. And it's not just the substances and stuff. If that is true for you, then maybe that is an area, and there's plenty of programs to do that. I recommend 12 steps. There's all different kinds of 12 steps. That's my knowledge, including codependency. So I would invite you to think about that. But again, it's clearing down the noise. Why are you saying noise? Because the more you clear down the noises, the more you can listen to yourself. What is right and true for you, not what other people told you is available for you, not what you think, because it's probably buried under unworthiness or not enoughness, because circumstances may be that you've experienced things in your childhood or even as a teenager or an adult that hasn't been favourable. It's probably damn right unkind. I know that was true for me. And under that, you lose power. You give it away to others. So, and there's also conditioning programming, which is why if you start to detox, you start to let go of those limitations, those stories that are contributing to the narrative, those beliefs that you're not good enough, it's not available for you to change. Again, that's shaky ground, so you'll revert back to the old you that you don't want to be anyway. You know it, it's just you're struggling with it because it's safe, it's comfortable, and anything that's uncomfortable we tend to shy away from, and that needs to be an indication it's ego. So again, the definition I invite you to consider about detoxing is time away from anything that's unhealthy or toxic, and that is away from societal expectations. What people say, this is available for you, it's bollocks. Once you learn the rules, you can start to break them. You work with me and I can help you with that. Or you follow more of my content. There's enough out there now and there's plenty of places to look. Please move away from magical thinking or thinking one thing's going to fix everything. Doesn't work that way. I can prove it. But what I'm giving you is pieces, tangible pieces with action that are actionable, that you can put into practice right now. I promise you that. And then you can start to make the shifts that you need to. So again, so I mentioned society expectations. I'm looking at my notes and I'm just realised I'm thirsty. So conditioning and programming. Why am I saying that? Because when you start to work on the detox aspect and you spend some time away from anything unhealthy and toxic, whatever that looks like for you, I know what it looked like for me. You can then focus and prioritise what really matters. You can't do that if you're distracted or you're full of anxiety, which is worrying about the future. And that means you're not in the here and now. If you're worrying, you're not in the here and now, you're not present. And that is probably also an indication of fear-based. Fear-based, when you act from fear, it dramatically impacts your outcomes, your results. And I'm going to use this as an invitation to suggest, because I've done it on this live, I've fluffed up a few things, and that's okay. It's actually okay to make mistakes. When you get to where I am, you actually embrace it. I learn. I know what I can do better because the competition is me better than I was yesterday, but I also know it's not a linear process. It's the ebbs and flows of life, okay? So I want to invite you to get into a habit, because that's the invitation, of detoxing your life, spending some time away from what's unhealthy and toxic, and you know what that looks like for you. And I promise you'll start to make some shifts, even little ones. And start working on what really matters to you, because unfortunately you can't change what you're not aware of. You can't. And I don't care what anybody says, building your self-awareness, it can be challenging, because sometimes you'll see aspects of yourself that you recognise in others and you're like, ugh. But at some point that was you, and that is why you go you're gentle with yourself. It's important to practice compassion first with self, because once you practice it with yourself, you can offer it to others. And to be empathetic, and also to be reflective of how far you've come, because it's indicative of what's inside of you, not what's outside of you, because outside of you is not within your control anyway. It's not. So what I'm offering is a place to look if you want to start developing your way that's meaningful but also sustainable, because I'm promising you will get results even if you move in the direction of one piece. So I've mentioned there's a number of ways you could detox. Spiritually, is there anything that maybe spiritually that you maybe need to take a step back from? I'm not going to suggest what that might look, only you will know emotionally, and that might be, I'll offer a tool. I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. Name it to tame it, feel it to heal it. Simple tool. And when you notice emotions arising, it's a visceral experience. Try to capture what that is in the moment. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, somebody said something and I'm actually quite angry about that. But instead of projecting, it's not about them, it's about me. Okay, they could be genuinely an arsehole, that I don't know, but they could have said something off. But what I go is, okay, well, why am I getting angry about what they just said? So it's inward introspection. Okay, what's there for me? And to control the, okay, I don't need to react now, or I don't need to actually say, I just need to acknowledge I'm angry, what that is about, get curious about that, maybe journal if that's warranted, maybe come back and sort of, if I need to have a discussion with that person, if it's meaningful to, because in some cases, part of detoxing is also detoxing friendships. Maybe that is if they're a friend and I'm realising there's a pattern and it's like, oh, no, not for me, thank you. Then maybe I take my participation in a relationship out of the equation. So for that, social media, maybe less scrolling. I know that's made an impact. I always know when I'm scrolling a lot, I'm looking for something which goes, oh, boredom. I'm bored, but what is it I'm looking for? I'm outsourcing a need. What need is that I need to address within me and take responsibility for that instead of expecting me to find something that's gonna, and it could be boredom. That's why I mentioned, ladies, boredom. What's there for you? Mental. A key piece I would offer is the content you're absorbing. I had a coach that I worked with, this was a couple of years ago, he said to me, be guardian of your mind. And it was powerful because I then recognised I had done some work leading up to that point, but what I hadn't realised was there was still some patterns showing up that I was participating in that wasn't helpful to me. And for me to stop that cycle also meant I had to review the sources of that unhealthy pattern, and to remove my participation from it. Now, I do experience a bit of it, but I've got a time cap on it. This came about from the detoxification when I actually was aware of content in terms of reading, papers, news, because I find it heavily skewed negative. I don't need that. It's not that I'm for toxic positivity. Life, you can't be high vibe all the time. I'm sorry, it's not possible. Anybody that's real, authentic will tell you that in order to have a higher vibration, it's actually acknowledging lower vibration stuff so you can identify it, but not making light of the experience when you have the lower vibrations, because that is part of the stuffing down, minimising, dismissing, denying, suppressing. And if you've had certain experiences that led you not to honour and process some difficulties, then pretending things, putting a smile on it and pretending, I get sometimes it's warranted, but there's a lot of times when it's not. It's valid. All emotions are valid. So the key is not responding from that place. It's owning what's coming up and handling it in a way where it's safe for you to do so, which is very important. So do recognise where are the safe spaces for you to process, because not all spaces are created equally. What do I mean by that, Karen? There's some circumstances where it's not appropriate to share with certain individuals or to tackle certain challenges. It needs to be a time out. That's probably for another conversation. But the point is emotionally detoxing, which I mentioned earlier. Part of that is actually acknowledging what is coming up for me and what do I need in the moment. Asking those questions of self before making a decision to respond rather than to react, which is often from past rather than being in the real time, because it's kind of the out of mind. So you want to be in the body and then connect to the mind, so you reason and logic and say, okay, this is the way that the invitation to move forward in this way, but to do so when you're doing no harm to self or others. So I'm going to move on. Digital, I mentioned earlier, one of the things I did was unsubscribe from a lot of emails. I'm still doing it. It's a constant battle, but it's a battle. I could say it's a battle, maybe another way I look at it. I just unsubscribe. I keep on top of it. And I find it really useful, again, with accounts. I keep on top of it. There's accounts I'll follow, and then it stops having the relevancy. Let it go. I'm not going to miss anything. FOMO that I mentioned yesterday when I was really tired, I'm going to just touch on that, which is the fear of missing out. Again, watch out for those fear-based actions. We want to operate in love, respond in compassion. When we're doing fear-based actions, dramatically affects the outcomes. You want to be at the cause, not at the effect, and the effect are the results you see in your life. So at some point when you recognise, I'm getting stressed, I'm actually, I'm getting frustrated, I'm having these emotions of frustration, anger, resentment being a key one. How do I change that? Maybe take a inventory of what are the circumstances leading to this feeling that you're having, and journaling is very useful. Data dumping, journaling, so you can start to sift out what is the evidence of, okay, what do I need to become present to rather than we're present to. Okay, this is something that needs to be addressed, because emotions are indicators, it's data. We collect that and we make sense of it, but in a calm, rational space that is safe for us to do so. And maybe I offer them with digital, because there's a full sense of urgency and speed, that actually if we slow things down, it's more helpful for us in how we react, because we don't want to be reactive, we actually want to be responsive, but we want to be responsive that does no harm to self or others. What does that mean, Karen? On a deeper level, digital, maybe it means less time on the phone, maybe boundaries around when you can be contacted. I do that with clients. I manage expectations about my availability, because I did have a period where I recognise how others would operate, and it wasn't favourable for me if they thought they could just contact me whenever. That's changed, because I think I've made it very clear now how I work, and how I make it very clear with my clients when I'm available, when I'm not, and under the circumstances. So if you're not actually, if you're somebody I'm talking to in a conversation but not necessarily a client, expecting me to solve things or to give away is not respective of my time, not respective of my credentials as a coach, and the skills I bring into the space that I hold for you. And if your expectation is to continue take but not actually reciprocate the energy, and that does mean an investment, then those are the things that I had to work on, which was challenging at first. As it is in business, sort of like charging for your services, but to recognise that, I'm not limitless. I have other areas of focus, and to have somebody command my attention and yet not reciprocate had, as a boundary, needed to be addressed. So I was also okay if somebody wasn't happy with that being a no. Obviously I'll support you, but this is the circumstances. How do you feel about that? So again, I kind of got off piste, but what I'm saying is boundaries, digital, you get to decide what is right and true for you. It is a process, it takes time. I've shared a few ideas on how you can do that. Hopefully you've got something tangible that you can take away and work on right now. There's so many things nuggets that I dropped in the conversation. Please do comment, like and share if you got value. I've explained that I do look down my profile, so invite people to follow me. I will see it and I do action them every few days. Also, if you've got any questions, any topics, I'm happy to support that. If you need me to do a bit of research, I'm open to that. It might take some time. Just drop me a note on the inbox or drop a comment on the post. I really appreciate you. Also, if if there's anything that you feel needs to be covered, I'm open to hear that too. It's good to get feedback. I'm always learning, and it's useful to get that feedback coming back if there's something that I haven't covered yet or is missing from the discussion that you think would benefit, my audience would benefit from, and you would benefit from hearing from me and my view on that thing. All right, so thank you for watching, thank you for listening, also for joining me on the live. I really appreciate you. For those on the replay, thank you, I really appreciate you. Again, I have a number of services. I have wellness plans that I offer that start at £11.11 and they move up to £33 if you want a short consultation of 15 minutes. I also offer NLP timeline therapy. Have a conversation with me if that's something of interest to you. That's about handling difficult emotions, also any phobias, limiting beliefs, limiting decisions. Because as I said, if you want to move forward, there's going to be stuff that needs to be cleared, so to speak, that will help you move forward. I can help with that, or just book a consultation. It's only 30 minutes. We can have a conversation just to find what appropriate services might work for you, or just to have a chat. I also learn about you if that's what you want and ready for. Again, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next live, and the next live is going to be Black Cat Energy. I'm really excited about this, but I'm going to put the caveat there, it's not in regards to dating, because I do realise that has come up a lot for that. Mine is from a wellness point of view, how you can really extract fierceness, be unfuckable basically, have courage, resilience, all the things I like to demonstrate in walking my talk. So if that sounds good to you, catch me on the next live next week. Bye bye.